What's going on, dudes? I tried recording this video a couple times already, and I was trying to do it while playing Grand Theft Auto a couple of times, and that just was not working out as well as I wanted it to. Like getting the video to run with all that nonsense, it wasn't working. So I'm gonna do this old-fashioned way. I'm just gonna talk to the camera. I'm in the E30 right now, not driving because it's up on jack stands. I'm doing some work on it. Again, you know, such is the life of a project car. But I figured I would finally shoot the video where I talk about finances. I have my folder of just receipts because I've been, you know, saving up all the receipts pretty much that I get from the car. It's friggin' stacks. Most of these are FCP or Summit sort of things. Got a couple in here just like odds and ends. So I'll just go through all these real quick and sort of examine them, go over some of them, talk about all the costs that have gone into the whole build and everything like that. So I have a couple of main points that most of you probably really going to be interested in that I'll hit on first, and then I'll leave the more detailed stuff towards the end. So if you just want to know the bullet points, you don't have to watch the whole video. I'm not going to waste your time because it's probably going to be kind of long. So a lot of people were asking throughout the entire build how much I spent on the car. Now looking back on it, I spent too much money. I spent $3 grand for the initial purchase, and in California, $3 grand could get you a really nice rust-free, good paint E30, you know, straight body. In Texas, it's a little harder. So now that we've hit on that, I had someone ask, was the sponsorships I received by, you know, some of these businesses the deciding factor in the build? Could I have done it without the sponsors? And the answer is I could definitely have done it. It definitely would have taken me longer. See, these things like the FCPeuro sponsorship that I had going on the whole time, that enabled me to have really quick turnaround on those install videos. So if I installed a part, I could be installing a part, you know, every week. I could have a new install video pretty much every week. And that is not possible for a lot of people without that sort of situation. So I'm really thankful that I had that opportunity. And it made it so timely. I don't have the expendable income to just, you know, pump out weekly uploads of, you know, installs. Most people don't. I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, but the sponsorships made it possible to make the videos, and the videos made it possible to get the sponsorships. That's how I'll leave it. I definitely could have built the car, you know, totally out of pocket, but I wouldn't have been able to do it in the timely fashion that, I mean, it still took me quite a long time to get to the point that I am now. Think about that. It would have taken me longer if I was just, you know, putting away money slowly, because, you know, I'm in college, I have other expenses, I work part-time as a bartender, so it's pretty much, you know, extra disposable income. I would just put it away for the car, and then I would buy a new part. That takes forever to do some of these parts if you don't have other people helping them. And then I have, you know, some of these receipts, all this good stuff. I'll go over some of the main ones. Usually these average about $100, I would say. I got a couple of them are like 400, a couple of them are like 50, things like that. But I just have some various fittings, all sorts of good stuff. That's window seals. This is my short shift kit that I bought. I haven't installed that yet because I still don't have all of it. That will be coming soon enough. These are the adapters that I got. So, actually, let me start. I'll just name off these prices, honestly. Okay, what's this cart? This is a $200 cart. This has a couple of little extra bits and almost the entirety of my short shift kit. So let's say it's around $150 for that short shift kit. This is the adapters that I bought. These were $375. This is some of the exhaust tubing. I'd say that I spent $200 on that whole exhaust. So all the V-bands, all the tubes, all the flex pipes. What else do I got? You know, that muffler, that resonator, things like that. I'd say I spent around $200. And I'll post all of these sort of costs into a, what do you call it, like an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll upload it for you guys, and you guys can look at it. I'll probably have it in the video too, and just add up as I go along. This is just some various fittings, some hard to find fittings that you have to order like one off. What we got? I don't know what that is. This is a garage stick. This was their first care package that they sent me, so I'm not gonna put, you know, I'm not gonna add that to the total. Okay, this is what it cost me to surface the cylinder head and reassemble the whole thing. That was $130. This is some extra bits. There's actually absolutely nothing. Stainless steel gasket. What is this? Some more just basic air filter, oil filter, spark plugs for the, this is a $100 cart. It comes with, like, I bought some fuel hose, that sort of thing. These are Summit, just various little stuff. This was $185, and I actually don't know what that was, so I'll figure it out later. Okay, some more exhaust. That's another $100 part for exhaust. That's pretty much all the exhaust. That's a duplicate receipt. Here's another FCPeuro. So this is $322. This was actually the first order that I bought from FCPeuro. This has valve cover, head studs, head gasket, fuel filter, and thermostat. So I bought pretty much all that engine rebuild stuff, the new head gasket, the ARP head studs, the water pump, and, you know, a valve cover gasket. And that, you saw those earlier in the build. That was about $300, $350 there. You know, I add all this up. Here's my suspension cart. This is a big one. This is $400. I'm very careful about the things I buy. I try to, you know, get the bang for the buck sort of thing. I don't cheap out and buy, you know, eBay crap all the time. But sometimes I avoid buying genuine OEM BMW parts just because the markup on them is kind of a little intense. Not to say that they aren't higher quality, but I'm just saying the difference in price for some of these things is not reflective of the difference in quality. Some of these things are, you know, maybe 80 to 90% of the quality of the original BMW part, but 20 to 30% of the cost, if that makes sense. So the difference is, let's say that you had to replace this something so okay, you got 100,000 mile part and it's 80 to 90% of the quality. This is like, you know, garage math. And so then you're looking at 80 to 90,000 miles, assuming you installed it correctly, on that new part versus the original BMW part. So you lose 10 to 20,000 miles and it costs you 20 to 30% of the BMW part. That's just how it works in my brain. I mean, I'm sure there are things that's not true, and I'm sure there are things that is, you know, the math is totally wrong, but that's just how I think about a lot of things in my brain whenever I'm purchasing things. So I have all those Miley bits. I got engine camshaft seal, intake manifold gasket, exhaust manifold gaskets, exhaust nuts, gates, racing belt, tie rod ends, water pump, suspension control arms. Those are the those big control arms. I love BMW for that because it makes it so easy to do. You don't have ball joints and things like that. It's so easy to work on that. Got heads to more exhaust nuts, all that BS. Home Depot receipt. You know, you just buy little odds and ends. Suspension, steel brake lines. I haven't installed those yet. I just have those sitting there. That's, what is this? Oh, and my coilovers. My coilovers were grand, and they were from FCPeuro. like I say, everything from SCP has a lifetime guarantee, even those ARP head studs. So if I break one of those head studs, boom, new head stud kit. It's beautiful that way. Then I have my Wastegate. This is $225, $230 shipped to me. Yeah, I got a Tial 38mm wastegate. And then I had a couple of like eBay things, like I bought that adaptation, or that little angle thingy for the exhaust manifold to fit that wastegate. And thinking back on it, I should have done a V-band, but you know, it's all right. Live and learn. Little turbo bits. And my last SCP receipt, what is this one? Oh, fan clutch, wrench, water pump gasket, distributor cap. That's probably, what does this cost? You know, 70 bucks. Not too big of a deal. And then we have things like the turbo itself. That cost me, I believe it was $240, a used turbo, and then I bought like a $40 housing for the rear, bought some new seals, some oil things. So let's say that dressing the turbo cost me $300. So let's say the turbo itself. And then the exhaust manifold, I would say I spent an extra of about $50 in welding rods and that angly bit, and just $200 on the manifold from KAMotors. So let's say $250 there. The wrap runs about 600 bucks. These seats right here were 200, and then Troy and I did all the fabrication to make them fit the car, so that's 200 bucks, you know, and maybe 10 bucks in angle iron, but that would fall under my miscellaneous items and things like that. I'm trying to think. And then we have the intercooler and all that stuff. It was about 175. I'll say 200 because I had to buy like some extra silicone bits, things like that. What are we looking at? What are we looking at? $200 exhaust, $300 turbo, manifold, all the seals, the intercooler, fan was about $100. The tires and the wheels, those tires run about, I think, $700, $800. And the wheels costed me $300. But they came with some spare tires that I kind of since gave away. So I'm just going to say they're $300, $250. That's how much you would sort of get those contours for. That's the fair price for the contours. What else have I bought? Bought a couple of new clusters, but I really don't need to count that in there. I bought... you know, some other nonsense. So I'm drawing a blank. I'm sure there's something big that I'm missing, but I'm just not thinking of it at this very moment. So I would say that I have about 8 to 10 grand in this car, and I'll add it up and I'll try to get as close as I can to the actual number, you know, because I probably spent $1,000 on like miscellaneous random things like oil. Oh yeah, that's another one. That oil filter, oil relocation, all that stuff, that cost me about $100. I got most of that from Cameron Baker. So like oil feed, oil drain, all that good stuff. That was around $100, somewhere in that range. You know, it's just little things like that. They add up pretty quick, and nobody tells you that you need them. Whenever you start working on a project car like this, you just sort of find out as you go, and then, you know, you buy them and you end up waiting a week to install the other parts that you thought would be done a week ago, and it pushes it back and pushes it back and pushes it back. But in the end, you're doing what you love. You're having a good time, enjoying yourself, hopefully. So that's what's really important in the end, is that, you know, it's a hobby. You don't do this because you have to. You do it because you enjoy doing it. Now I'm gonna look up any other questions that I might need to answer, because I know I had a few like Q&As from that video I put out a while ago. I asked you guys to ask me questions that you wanted to know financially about the car. So let me, whenever you sit here and you start thinking about, oh, I spent this and this and this and this and this and this and this, it starts, you know, it adds up in your head and you say, boy, that's kind of a lot of money. But when you really sit there and you compare it to how much the car actually costs compared to most cars that you buy today. So let's say, you know, 10 grand. What is that going to buy you in new cars, or even like lightly used cars? You probably end up with like a Toyota Yaris or something awful, you know? No offense to anyone who owns a Toyota Yaris, but it's not a car for an enthusiast in my mind. So whenever you say, okay, this car cost me 10 grand, yes, it's a 30-year-old car, but it doesn't play like a 30-year-old car. It keeps up with some really quick new cars, that sort of thing. What else we got? We got some, how many eBay parts are on your project? You know, there's quite a few. Like those intercooler bits and some of those oil feed bits and that sort of thing. Those are usually eBay, just because there's not a whole lot to go wrong with it. And whenever I can do that, I say, okay, if this is something that I can't usually go wrong, that if you get it made in America costs 4 times as much, I typically will move to eBay. Or some things that, you know, it's a small, there are some things that it's a small business owner or something like that that doesn't have a storefront or things like that can only sell on eBay. Sometimes, you know, it can be really high quality stuff, like that flange that mild steel flange that I got for the back of the turbo, that sort of thing. I had someone asking about KAMotors turbo kits, so if they were a good value or not, as far as, you know, after I put everything together. And I think that Cameron, I speak fairly regularly with Cameron about, you know, the Turbo E30, because he is the guru for it, right? And I really think that his kits solve a lot of the hassle that goes into building up a turbo kit. So doing it yourself with no prior experience is not an easy thing to do, especially if you're not like quite mechanically inclined. If you know how to change your oil and things like that, you're probably not going to be able to build a turbo kit by scratch. You're going to forget things, and then you could end up pulling the motor or anything. You have to learn as you go, and you have to be willing to stand back and be humbled by an experience. Like I mean, I've made mistakes on this car, and I said, well, you know, and you have to realize you're not as smart as you think you are most of the time. So I think that there's something to be said for having that kit that will solve a lot of those issues for you. But I'm one of those people who really enjoys the process of it. Like, that's probably my favorite part. It's just, I don't mind if I don't drive this car sometimes, because I just, you know, I built it. I had my fun with it. That's where I got the most out of it, was in the process of putting it together. And using a kit, in my mind, for what I want to get out of it, is not always the best route. Because yes, it would be faster, and yes, it would save me the hassle, but I don't think I would personally learn as much. That being said, most of the stuff that I would learn from not getting a kit is stuff that I've shown you in this video, honestly. What else we got? Had someone asking me about dyno tuning or just putting it on a dyno. I would like to, but I would like to do it after I'm almost done tuning it, because I don't want to just throw it on a dyno when I don't have, you know, real numbers being made. And I don't think it's to the point where I do want to know the numbers yet. I'd like to get it sort of dialed in and then do a dyno. And maybe a dyno day or something like that. What else do I got? someone asked me if I preferred a V8 or a turbo inline six, and I thought that was honestly an interesting question. In my mind, V8s are usually better for a track or things like that because they give you such a nice consistent linear power band. But on the E30, when you're on the street, it's just a lot of fun having that pantomime, that ridiculousness of the turbo inline six. You know, it spools up and then it just hits you in the back of the head. That's all. That gives you that smiles per gallon feel. Whereas a V8, it's just fast, and you can get in trouble so easily because they just are fast. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I think it's all where you are and what you're doing, that sort of thing. I don't see any more questions. I'm sorry if I missed your question or didn't answer it in the comments, but I tried to make this video quick, and as you see, it's still 20 something minutes. I apologize for that, but I'll have that spreadsheet in the description, and hopefully I'll have it up here and everything, and going down tallying everything as I go. But other than that, I appreciate you watching. I got some good things coming up. I'm probably gonna try to do some more maybe vlog style and more like reviews and things like that now that I don't have as much to do on the E30, but it's definitely not dead. The E30 build is definitely not dead. I still have stuff that I'm doing right now, but I'm still, you know, waiting on parts, that sort of nonsense. So I appreciate all of you watching. It's been another great day, and I hope you all enjoy yourselves. You know, keep learning, guys. Peace out.